Hello and welcome to this edition of Designing Spaces, the show that's all about you and your space, your home and surroundings. I'm Debbie Marie.
And I'm David Jones. You know, spring, just a couple of weeks away. Time to get started on some spring cleaning.
And not just spring cleaning, but how about some spring projects to make sure the household is running smooth and have it looking its best.
That's right. We got you covered on today's show, starting down in the basement, working right out into the yard.
A well-oiled machine, literally, as you'll see.
That's right. And speaking of yards, we have some advice and some tips on how to make your backyard a beautiful green oasis. That and a lot more.
So stick around and see it all right here on Designing Spaces.
All right, what do you say we start in the basement and work our way up?
Sounds good. You know, with spring comes rain, and a lot of times the basements carry some of that water, and basement flooding can be disastrous, especially combined with power failure.
That's right, but one leader in the pump industry has an easy solution. In fact, here's Heather Herron in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Watch this.
The thought of flooding strikes fear into the hearts of every homeowner with a basement. Not only may stored valuables be lost, but structural damage to walls and supports could result in expensive repairs. The best way to prevent flooding is with a sump pump, but options are wide and very confusing. Also, sump pumps run with electric power, so if there's a power failure at the same time as flooding, well, you get the picture. Today, Designing Spaces goes down into the basement with a leading expert in sump pumps to look at what you can do to keep basement flooding under control. Everything is fine right now, but a serious storm could cause a power failure and lots of water filling the sump pit and then placing this entire floor underwater. Selecting the right sump pump will eliminate the flooding problem and give the homeowner peace of mind. To help us in the world of sump pumps, we have John Sparks, National Account Manager for Star Water Systems, a manufacturer of water pumping systems since 1866. Well, John, it's good to know we're in good hands now, but I have to ask, what about those pumps back in 1866?
Well, Star Water Systems started out building windmills and good old-fashioned hand pumps, but I wasn't around back then.
Today, John brought along several different types of sump pumps. Well, it's good to know we have your modern expertise now.
Well, thank you, and it's good to be here.
Now, you brought with you some examples. This was the original, older version.
That is correct, and this is what is called a column or pedestal sump pump. As you can see, the electrical motor sits on top of a very long shaft, which then connects to an impeller, which pushes the water up and out of your basement.
But what about heavily flooded basements? When using the submersible sump pump, it can actually be completely submerged in water. Now show us the newer version, the one that can be submersed in water.
Well, this is a submersible sump pump, and it is designed so that the motor is encased completely inside the sump pump. As you can see, it's surrounded by a cast iron housing. The electrical current is hermetically sealed so that as the electrical current comes in and out of the pump, it won't stop the pump from running.
This device here is what turns it on and off.
That is correct. This is a float switch. This is a vertical float switch. As the water rises in the pit, the float switch comes on and reaches the top. It makes the electrical connection, turns the pump on, and as the water recedes, the float goes down and it turns the pump off.
And this entire piece can go underwater.
Yes, it can. It's completely submerged and it's very efficient.
There's a high probability for power failure during floods. That's where a backup system is important to have. Many insurance companies won't cover basement flood damages, so a certain amount of redundancy is needed to truly be safe. Traditionally, batteries power the backup pump once electricity is unavailable.
This is a battery backup system. This is your primary pump. This would be your battery backup, your secondary pump. When the power goes out, this pump will not operate. So we have a second switch that operates the pump as this float comes up. It'll turn this pump on and off, which is run by this battery.
How long does the charge on the battery last?
Well, batteries are only good for a charge of about 8 hours. The batteries traditionally have to be kept charged up. We do supply a charger that comes with the pump, but in the event of a power failure, the pump will only run for approximately 8 hours, and when the battery is discharged, the pump can no longer operate.
So if the power's out for longer, spare batteries can come in handy. However, there is a simpler solution. Running water as provided by the local municipality can also be an option. This is the HomeGuard Optima. It's a high-capacity, high-efficiency backup system with no electricity required. It has a small footprint and removes 2 gallons for every gallon of water used.
This is our all-new HomeGuard Optima. It's a water-driven backup sump pump.
And how does it work?
It works off of your municipal water supply. As your water supply comes through, it goes through what is called a nozzle venturi system. And what that does, it creates vacuum in the drop pipe. So for every 1 gallon of city water that you use, it will draw almost 2 gallons of water out of your pit.
Now you mentioned the city water. What if you're not in a municipality and you have a well?
On a well system, you're generally operating off of an electrical pump. So that would not work unless you had a generator supplying power to your well pump all the time.
So this would be primary for city?
City waters only, yes.
The HomeGuard Optima is ready to go 24 hours a day. No electricity, no batteries. Because it does require running water and is efficient, it should really be used primarily for backup purposes. So explain to me how this all works.
Okay, well, it's very simple. What I've done here is I've taken my primary sump pump, I've added my discharge pipe to it. I've taken the HomeGuard Optima out of the box. I've connected it here very simply with our fittings here. And I've added a discharge pipe to it. And then the only thing I have to do left after that is connect my city water supply to this very easy push-on connection.
And then this entire unit would actually go down into the sump pit.
That would go down into the pit, and then you'd make your final connections.
John, if people want to find out more information about the Optima or about the submersible pump, where do they get that?
You can go to Star retailers across North America or visit us at starwatersystems.com.
John, thank you so much for all of that important information.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
And if you'd like to find out more information, you can also go to our website, designingspaces.tv. There you'll see streaming video of this segment. We'll also have a link for you to the Star Water Systems website. Again, thank you to John Sparks and Star Water Systems. For Designing Spaces, I'm Heather Herron.
All right, what do we have next?
Okay, well, you know what? We're out of time for today.
Already?
Already.
Well, that means you have to watch next week. This is Designing Spaces. I'm David Jones.
And I'm Debbie Marie, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You can visit these websites to learn more about the participants on this edition of Designing Spaces.